Welcome to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. Are you a goofball that loves Giants football? If so, sit back and relax as we talk about the team that both excites and frustrates us so much. And now, here are your goofball hosts, Drew and Rob.
Welcome, fellow goofballs, to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. I am Drew, joined as always by...
I'm me, Rob, and we got a nice episode about guards on a Monday night.
Oh, yes, it's time to God.
On
guard.
Gaffed.
And it's funny because, I feel like half the people we talked about on the tackle episode are probably going to be guards. And yet, this is not a strong guard This is not a strong guard draft. Because if you look at pure guards, people who have literally played the position, there's one guy who might go day one. Might. There's a couple that are going to go day two. And then there's a whole bunch of day three guys. There's really not, these guys you go, there's this kid from that school and this kid from that school, and there's all these starter possibilities. The guys who are going to start at guard are actually tackles last year. So I'll be honest with you guys. This is a little bit of a weak group. Don't turn away, though. It's still important to watch. We might get one of them. You never know. But we do need a guard. Let's be honest here. Right guard is a position that I still think is a need for the Giants. Obviously, we got Greg Van Roten back at that point. But listen, if JMS doesn't improve, we might need him at center. And if that's the case, right guard pops right open for, I don't know, the burger flipper, Evan Neal, or maybe somebody that we draft in this. Who knows? So, it's still an important position. Now, before we get into guards, we do have one topic to talk about here outside of guards. Because it's not a Giants, conversation without apparently discussing Shedeur Sanders lately. And now we hear that there's going to be a private workout for the Giants in Colorado with Shedeur Sanders, where Shedeur Sanders will be their private dancer, as Tina Turner would say.
Ooh.
And this is from Adam Schefter on X. He says, ESPN sources, Colorado QB Shedeur Sanders will hold one last private workout Thursday in Boulder, Colorado, for a contingent of officials from the New York Giants. Some final intrigue leading into next week's NFL draft in Green Bay, which is very interesting because let's be honest here, guys. This is definitely the time. If you're going to make this decision, this is one of those decisions that could make or break your career for a guy like Joe Schoen. If we don't pick up Shedeur Sanders and he goes on to be a good quarterback in this league, that's not just egg in his face, that's poop in his face.
Yeah. Could be both.
Now, if you draft him and he fails, well, guess what? You had your chance to draft a quarterback and you did. You don't really typically come back from that as a GM. That QB pick is that important in your time as a GM. So, and there's a lot of people talking about how there's some torn, opinions here in the Giants front office and even within Dable and Shane. There's people that are saying that Dable likes him and Shane doesn't. Again, I have no inside information on this. I'm not going to say either one is true. But that's what you hear, the rumblings of, so to speak, here. And that's why last minute Brian Dable went to Colorado to go to the workout. Now, you even got people from the Mara family going to that first workout he had there. No word yet that I've seen as far as exactly who is going to be of this contingent of officials for the New York Giants exactly. It's a very curious verbiage.
Yeah.
But here's my thing. You're a week and a half away from the draft, guys. If you don't know if Shedeur is your guy, guess what? He's not.
Yeah. If you're indecisive,
yeah. The third overall pick in the draft should not be a tough choice.
Yeah. I love it when teams take their full 15 minutes, 20 minutes on the clock.
Oh yeah. I love it that night.
The first top 5. You pretty much know. Pretty much top 10,
Now, maybe there's some talks behind the scenes on trades, and that's what delays it. I get it, but I feel like you're a week and a half out, guys. At this point, you should know if you want Shedeur Sanders on your team or not. Point blank. Yeah. And the fact that that there's an extra workout now specifically for the Giants on him. Oh, to be a fly in the wall. Like I would love to hear how the conversations are going, because I feel like Shedeur obviously feels the need to prove something to the Giants. Like, let's be very frank. He feels the need to prove something to the Giants, or why else would he do this? He also sees his stock going down. And if the Giants don't take him at 3, he could be there for a while. And he knows that.
Yeah.
So, me personally, I don't care either way, guys. I'm gonna be very frank. I hate to be indecisive sounding on that. I could not care less if they do or don't take Sanders. If they take him, great. You have confidence in him. Now make him that guy. If you don't take him, fine. You didn't think he was that guy. You didn't force a pick. I'm okay with it either way, because I do see the pros and cons. As much as I think anybody who watches the show knows, I love having an opinion. I love giving said opinion. I'm so mixed on Shedeur Sanders, it's not even funny.
Yeah, because I mean, obviously, we all know who his father is. His father, being one of the best, at his position at the time.
The best ever to play his position. Let me be very clear on that. My opinion on that one.
Yeah. So, talent runs in the family. That he's come into a family that knows how to work around the media and work around football.
It's a family affair.
So it's like you're not going to get too much surprise with him. It's now comes back down to the talent level. Like, was it Colorado? Was it the system? Was it the family around them? Like,
was it the lack of talent they played in Colorado?
Yeah. These are all very important questions that we're going to be looking at. We're not going to be playing the Raiders every weekend.
Here's my question. And I'm curious how you answer this. Do you think Shedeur Sanders will ever be a top 10 quarterback in the draft? I mean, sorry, in the league. Would you ever think that Shedeur Sanders will be a top 10 quarterback in this league?
Like for the year or week to week? Because
I mean for the year.
Yeah,
like you'll go out and go, this is one of the top 10 quarterbacks in this league. Clearly. Overall, I got to rank all the quarterbacks in this league, and I have him in the top 10.
Like,
what do you think the chances are that
season, 2026 season? He has the potential to do so.
What percentage would you say? I'm putting you in the spot big time.
Yeah. I'll give him about 50%. Top 5 is a big different story.
So imagine that. You take a guy at pick 3 that you think is a 50-50 shot. He's elite.
People do it all the time because
you're supposed to be confident.
My thing is, he might sit there and hover around because people have this conversation about Eli, where did he rank a lot of times, and he probably didn't crack the top 10 for a lot of people besides outside the Giants and New York media. But I mean, if Shedeur sits there and hovers around 11, 12, it's still a good pick. You got enough weapons around you where you can make things happen, depending on the scenario. So to say he has to be a top 10 to be successful,
but I think at a pick 3 quarterback, it's got to be that.
Yeah, there's a lot of busts that come in the top 5 quarterbacks year in, year out. I'm just saying I don't think he has a better shot being a top 10 than a bottom 10. Because you kind of know where his floor is. He's got a ceiling that it's questionable.
That's my concern, though, is I think he's going to be a top 20 quarterback. I don't know if he'll be a top 10. And that's my biggest concern with that. There's so much I like about the way he plays. I think he doesn't get scared under pressure. I think he is a guy who, point blank, is very good at leading receivers. People talk about the yak yards the wide receivers get, and they definitely get it. We talked about that when we first scouted him a long time ago. But he's a guy that leads receivers very well. He reads defenses very well, I feel like. He doesn't have the strongest arm in the world. While he may lead those receivers, some of the yak yards, can he get that yak yards in an NFL system? That leads to be, beg the question. He didn't play very good talent at Colorado. When he gets rushed by defenders, he typically runs backward, which is a very bad move as a quarterback in the NFL. There's a lot not to like, and there's a lot to like. And that's the problem I run into. Usually I can look at a quarterback and go, here's my opinion, done.
There's a lot of
mixed in
variables.
this guy. I'm so mixed in this guy. It's not even funny. I could see him being a top 10 quarterback. I could see him being a backup quarterback. Nothing would shock me, except I don't think he'll ever be MVP style. I don't think that'll be like he's not going to be the next Patrick Mahomes. He's not going to be the next Tom Brady.
Yeah,
Like, I don't
you're
think
also talking about like one generational talents right there.
No, but when you picked last year, let's say hypothetically, let's say you had picked 3 last year, and you're getting a guy like Drake May. You're a lot more optimistic about a Drake May than you probably are in Shedeur Sanders.
Probably. I mean,
And
I also wasn't that optimistic as Drake May.
But I'm saying that's the problem you're into. Right. You're reaching. And again, we've said on the show many times, I will say it again because it's the absolute truth. If you're going to reach for a position, reach for quarterback. That's the one position that I'm okay with reaching because it's that important. But at what point is it too big a reach to go top 3 pick for a guy that you think is probably going to be ceiling-wise an average to slightly above average quarterback this league?
Yeah, I mean,
are you going to build a Super Bowl winning team with Shedeur Sanders? That's the big question. We're the Giants. We're not the Browns. We're not just satisfied with just getting in the playoffs. Though I hate to say it, I almost would be now after all these years. Ooh, the playoffs.
Playoffs. Well, that's what I'm saying. It's hard to judge his ceiling right now, and
it is.
I mean, a lot of it comes through the talent. So, like, you get a couple tough flight receivers around him. You get a decent offensive line where he's not having to run for his life. Like, you get a solid running back, which is any quarterback out there. But I think he's got the smarts, the football IQ, and the abilities with stand pressure. That he has what it takes to manage an NFL. So yeah, I think he could go to Super Bowl, but it also, just like any other quarterback, he needs the characters of his side characters, if you will, in the story to be up there and be good as well, and good coaching.
Yeah,
it's just very obvious.
It's a really crappy place to be because I know a lot of us, I'm not the only one, keeps going back. If it wasn't that goddamn Colts game,
yeah,
we'd have Cam Ward. We wouldn't worry. Let's get into some of the comments here. So I know you all listen. Shedeur Sanders is probably one of the biggest, like I said, biggest topics overall for the last 6 months. I feel like for the Giants. G says, "Yo guys, what's up, man?" Deb says, If he's here, I think they should take him. Remember the 2012 draft, Colts fans and sports people were angry with the Manning pick. They wanted Ryan Leaf. How'd that work out? Yep, 100%. I remember that very well too. It was a talk, and it was almost like when there's a clear cut 1 and a clear cut 2, but you don't know which one is your 1, which one's your 2. It was that kind of year with him. That was 98, I want to say. That was like one of the big first QB controversies I remember, because I remember I was like a sophomore in high school. I was just getting old enough to actually understand football, not just watch it and to go, "Whoa, look, it's Joe Montana!" Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, so like it's what I'm always remember. But it was such a flip coin for a lot of people. But what people weren't able to do, and this is why I keep on saying it's hard for me to have too much of an opinion on Shedeur Sanders. What people weren't aware of was the mental health aspects of Ryan Leaf. Let's be honest. Like, that guy had a few screws loose. And I'm not trying to be rude about it, but it's the truth of what was going on. And I have to imagine that the Colts office saw that when they had meetings with him. They're like, yeah, whoa, not go near that. Manning, hello.
Yeah.
Get your big forehead over here. Like,
yeah, the 6 head.
That's what I feel like happened. We can't be in there with the room with Shedeur Sanders. And we said that from the very get-go since we started looking at him and scouting him, is we cannot look at Shedeur Sanders and ask him questions. I can't get reactions. I can't find these things out. So it's hard for me to have an opinion because, especially with a quarterback, when I'm making a minor tweak to certain ways things are said or, certain looks that you give a person when you ask a question, you can find out a lot of things. We can't do that. And do I trust Joe Shane to make that? No. I trust him to sit in the corner with a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Peanut butter jelly time. Peanut butter jelly time.
Time for the draft. Peanut butter jelly time for the draft.
So I just have to trust the Giants know what they're doing, which is a very scary thing. So let's be frank, they don't. That's what it boils down to. No Name says, do you believe the head coach should pick quarterback or GM? GM should do money, but Coach should get the guy he wants to build or use. I think personally the GM and the coach should be on the same page.
100%. I was gonna say it's a
unified front.
You should be in agreement. So you don't have to like 100% be unified, but you have to be in agreement. Like this is going to be your dude. Like, if you haven't struggled in a conversation, like you probably shouldn't.
That being said, the tiebreaker in that kind of scenario should be the GM, and when it comes to game day decisions, the tiebreaker is the coach. That's to me how it should be, but it should be unified.
I think it comes to this. I think it comes down to different aspects, but yeah, you're.
I'm saying you have to have like I want this player, you want that player. I'm the GM. I get the final say. That's what I mean. Like
yeah, but then as a head coach, like you may like this player, you may like what you saw on the field, but I can't coach him the way you want him to be coached.
Well, then you're not the right coach for the job. Thank you, sir. Next.
Or you just have different.
I just fired you. You're fired.
Yeah, you're fired.
Fired. I'm just saying, like that's the job. Like,
yeah,
if Joe Shane doesn't draft right, hypothetically, okay, and the team performs okay, Joe Shane's gonna look bad. Brian Dable won't. Correct.
Correct.
So therefore, it's Joe Shane's job. Therefore, he makes that call.
Yeah, but it's also.
I prefer them.
Joe Shane will also look really good if Dable could turn around and coach all these players to the highest potential. But not every person is coachable by the same person. That's what I'm saying. So
I get your point. I really do.
Find it's not a fit. Like that's the GM's job to say, I don't think he's a good fit. Like I understand the talent level. I don't think he's a good fit for this organization.
You're not buying a suit. You're drafting a player here. Like you got to listen. What did Brian Dable say when we first hired him? I want to sit down with players and find out what they like, what they don't like, and adjust my offense accordingly. I'm going to use his own words against them. Because he did that very first thing. So, like I said, Joe Shane's the one who has to pay the price for whatever he does or doesn't do right on draft day, not Brian Dable. Therefore, he gets the final say. Yeah. Jay says, at 3, you got to take a guy with major upside. His upside is like Dak, Purdy, Geno. Here's the thing, though. Would you? I cannot believe I'm saying this, and I know Purdy's probably the worst of those 3 to have this conversation with. But you wouldn't take Dak Prescott right now, and I hate to say it like that because I'm not a huge fan of Dak myself. But you wouldn't take Dak Prescott on this team right now. I find it hard to believe most guys wouldn't,
especially if Dak like 5 years ago.
But again, would you want to draft him 3rd overall? That's the problem. We're not talking about a mid-first round pick.
Yeah, so, especially you talk about Purdy, it was in the 7th round, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. No Name says we know Dion had it at his position. We don't know if Shedeur has it at his quarterback position until he approves in the NFL. College is different. That's true. Deb says it's a gamble, period. Nobody knows what kind of quarterback he'll make. Exactly. Jay says, wouldn't surprise you if Milroe went before him. It would surprise the hell out of me, and I'm telling you right now, whoever does that is a moron. I'm just calling it like it is. Jalen Milroe is so bad at quarterback, his own receivers were giving him nasty looks the last game he played. He's got a strong arm. He can run fast. You know what he can't do? Read defenses and throw accurately.
Yeah.
Go back to our scouting report we did on Jermaine Burton, the wide receiver. I believe the Bengals took, if I remember correctly. We had said that he is a good receiver that is actually probably better than he looks on paper because the quarterback play was so bad at Alabama. That's what we said. We were not the only ones who said it, by the way. That's the quarterback we're talking about. Nothing changed in the year. He just got a year older and forced his way out when he probably needs more time to develop. Probably should have just said, Alabama, I'm staying. If you don't want me here, I'll go somewhere else. He could have used another year or 2 of seasoning.
That is, it's not like he's going poor.
No, but what probably happened is Alabama probably has somebody beneath them. And listen, I don't pretend to know the backup quarterback for the Alabama football team, but they probably have somebody behind him that it's like, okay, it's his turn. It happens all the time. So, but Milroe, I'm telling you right now, great athlete, very nice person from all the interviews I've seen at all too as well. I've never heard him say anything stupid or crazy for the most part. A little more understated than most people are, but that's okay. That's his prerogative. But not a good thrower. If your worst trait as a quarterback is throwing, I'm sorry, that's an issue.
Yeah.
That's like he's a really good running back. What if he could run the ball better?
What position quarterback? Oh, okay.
Chris says Sanders is a DJ clone. Whatever he did, you can probably credit Hunter with. Like I said, I see it to a certain degree, but I think Hunter also benefited from the way he throws with anticipation, because Hunter is really good at yak yards. Hunter is really good at seams, middle routes, things of that nature. And if you put a guy like you say DJ, I'm going to use DJ. If you put a guy like DJ in and he has to come back for the ball, he's not getting the yak yards he was getting. And Hunter doesn't look nearly as good with a guy like that.
Yeah.
Just playing devil's advocate. Like I said, I'm not saying that Hunter didn't help Sanders. He definitely did. But to sit there and say that Sanders didn't help Hunter as well would not be correct. It's a two-way street. Jay says if they didn't sign 2 quarterbacks, I would think it would be more likely. I mean, yeah. I mean, if they didn't get 2, then you say, okay, they're going to get probably a quarterback here to be the backup, at least for this year. But yeah, I'd still say, and I've said it before, I'll say it again. I don't think taking those 2 guys stops the Giants from looking at Sanders at 3 either. That's pretty obvious. I think if the Giants were out 100% on Sanders, they wouldn't be going to this workout. It's not just wasting his time; it's wasting theirs. Unless it's all smoke and mirrors. You never know with the Giants. You never know.
Give me them smokes. Give me them mirrors.
Deb says a lot of quarterbacks have 3 QBs now. Yes, they do. No Name says how many early first-round quarterbacks made it to Super Bowl win or winning record, at least minimum, get past first round in playoffs? I'd have to look at the stats, but I'll tell you this: the mid to latter first-round quarterbacks are usually the ones that actually succeed. But I think a lot of that is due to the fact they're typically going to better teams. They have better help around them. They have better run franchises. They're not going to the Jets and the Browns.
Touche.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Chris says, I can't believe we just went through this and how eager some fans are to get through it again. Get through what? The season?
Or picking a quarterback early.
I don't know. Dev says most of the latter round picks at quarterback don't even make good backups in the future. Most good backups now were taken in the first round. I mean, I would say second, third for a lot of them at that point there. But yeah, the first round busts typically are backup quarterbacks. Look at Daniel Jones. It's a backup in Indianapolis now. Look at Kenny Pickett. Backup in Cleveland now. That's what happens. Big Blue in the Bronx. You. What's up, man? Guys, if you haven't already, Big Blue in the Bronx, follow them. Hit the subscribe button on theirs. Just open a new tab so you don't lose us in the meantime. We have important things to discuss. Jay says, we have 3 QBs. We have 2.5. Sorry, but...
Is that a height joke?
No, DeVito is he's a practice squad player. That's what he is. He's a practice squad player that had his little fun moment when the Giants were desperate for a good story. That's what he was.
He's a Cinderella story is what it was.
Yes. He's the Jeremy Lin of the Giants. The Kevin Moss of the Giants. The Shane Spencer of the Giants. That's what he was. His time is up. No Name, sad part. Draft finally gets here. Then we wait till September to see. Yeah, I mean, we'll probably overhype every single practice. Ooh, he made a play. Ooh, he made a play. Ooh. Look at that. Ooh, he missed his play. Like, that's what happens. He said a ghost. Ghost. Jay says, don't disrespect Tommy DeVito. I'm not disrespecting the man. Made his money. He's good. Deb says you'll be waiting longer than September. Yeah, no, we wait a couple of years. It's the truth of that. Anthony says Sanders are dart. Sanders without a doubt. I'm not a dart guy. Dart is definitely not a bullseye. No Name says, yo, Tommy, I didn't hear no bell.
Ding, ding.
Jay says, I think elite traits are worth gambling on. Sanders doesn't have elite traits. Elite accuracy is a trait. Elite processing is a trait. Just because it's not running fast or throwing deep, that's the problem. Is I feel like people get stuck on certain traits. And I'm not saying you, Jay. And I feel like people in general, they get certain traits they like because it's fun to watch. And that's what ooh, he has elite traits. They all have elite traits. That's how they got to the NFL draft. If they didn't have elite traits, they wouldn't be in the draft alone, let alone be top picks in the draft. It's like, imagine like a player with no elite traits somehow sneaking his way into the first round of the NFL draft. Like, that doesn't happen.
Yeah, he's a top 5 pick in the NFL draft.
He's got no elite traits, but he's got a hell of a smile.
That charisma.
Jason's dad thought Leaf was the pick back then. He could bond the ball on dimes into Washington State. He could, honestly, you could make the case that he was a better college quarterback than Manning was. You really could. And you would not be crazy for saying it. By the way, Manning also failed in all the big games in college, same as he did at the pros. Just saying. Joke.
Well, it's not true. He's got a Super Bowl.
He's got a Super Bowl and a second one he got dragged to.
Yeah.
By the way, the one Super Bowl he had to face Rex Grossman and the Bears. And the defense was the one year that they were actually healthy with Bob Sanders and all.
Yeah, Bears.
Just saying. Jay says Peyton, I thought, was skinny and not strong. Yeah, well, he was drinking milk and it shows. Deb says, right, Jay, and take on Manning was that he could not throw over 60 yards. Yeah, which you don't have to. I'm sorry. It's not often in a game like, oh, my God, he missed that 80-yard pass down the field. If only he had seen that. Like, what?
Yeah.
How often does this scenario pop up?
Downfield.
Yes. If only he was able to throw to that gazelle running down the sideline. What the hell? Like, oh my gosh. Jason, I was dead wrong, but SD Media just trolled and picked at Leaf until he imploded. I think he was going to implode no matter what. Jason's Bryce Young is nothing physically, but he threw with anticipation he can make plays. I don't see that with Sanders. You don't see he can throw with anticipation? Go watch Colorado's film. Seriously, dude. Like that's what he does. That's legit what he did. Like I said, he has plenty of things he's bad at. I've already talked about it. Doesn't throw the deep as well as a lot of the others in this draft. Tends to move backwards when pressure is there, which is very dangerous. He can get sacked and lose 15, 20 yards that way. Like, there's definitely cons on him. But throwing the anticipation is an elite trait of his. No name, Shane and Dable made it like they're always on the same page. They picked Daniel, or did one decide who's to blame for those 6 years? Well, Daniel Jones was a Dave Gettleman pick, so we're going to blame Dave Gettleman. But Shane and Dable, by default, because of the extension, will get some of the blame. It's a shared blame.
Yeah.
Three-way blame process. It's a good old three-way. Jay says the problem with the Giants is they never cut bait. They just hold on to guys until it's untenable. Oh, no, that's not the problem. The problem is they cut bait with the wrong guys. Let's be very frank on that. They cut bait on the wrong guys. And Jay says Dak aging in dog years. Yeah, he's playing on that team will do that to you. No names. His funny thing is I like Dak when he was on Gruden's quarterback camp to pick him. Worried he would be in our division if we didn't, and he did come to the NFC East as I predicted. Jay says Sanders highlight tape is all Hunter making crazy plays. LOL. Exactly. Hunter making crazy plays because he got thrown the ball with anticipation. Oh, I went a little Rocky Horror on you.
Yeah.
What?
Tim Curry lingerie.
Oh my God, it's hilarious though. Captain America says, "I still think the Browns are taking Sanders. I don't think so personally. I think there's a wink, wink, nudge, nudge deal with the whole thing with Myles Garrett. They said they take Abdul Carter. I really do. I think that was part of what made him happy. A boatload of cash didn't hurt, probably, but
yeah, he reminds me of Zombieland, where he's just crying with the money."
Jay says, "Hey, yeah, Captain, the Kirk Cousins thing is BS. Nobody, they're spending $80 million on two bad QBs with two combined Achilles. Here's the thing: you don't have to spend $80 million combined on those two, because first off, you're getting insurance money back on Deshaun Watson, and Kirk Cousins would not be $40 million because a lot of that money was already prepaid in the signing bonus by the Falcons. He'd be like $20 million, $25 million. I have to look up the exact number, but it's probably more in that range." It hurts for real, says, "Hello, fellas. What's up?"
Hello.
All right, let's get into these guards here, because we got 10 of these guards here to go on, and we've already been talking for half an hour before already on Shedeur Sanders. And guys, I'm going to tell you a little behind the scenes here. Rob and I have a running joke. Whenever we think it's going to be a short episode, we say this should be a short episode. It turns out to be an hour and a half long, at least. I don't know what it is. I don't know, what it is, but that's what happened.
You put the kiss of death on it today before the show.
I did. Jay says Big Blue the Bronx is a good follow, great upcoming content creator. Yes, 100%. I wouldn't even say upcoming because they've been around for longer than us. But yeah, they've been very, very good. No Name says, didn't they say same about Lamar Jackson as you say about Milroe, Drew? They did, 100%. But here's the difference: Lamar Jackson can throw, and it's not his best skill, but he can throw a whole lot better than Milroe. He wasn't pissing off college wide receivers left and right. Again, go rewatch the last game he had. I'm telling you right now. We got a whole lot more, by the way. Look at this. Hold on. Let's see. Jason Lamar was one of the best throwers of the football legal. He is one of the best throwers to tight ends in NFL. Jay says you got to be straight up baller and to be a 6 foot tall quarterback in the draft like Drew Brees or Mike Vick. Pessimist Shedeur is the guy. All that Carter Hunter talk is to entice others. Shedeur is the guy. He put the same thing here. Just remember, JJ McCarthy had a private workout and it led to nothing. Led to an injury eventually for him with the Vikings, but it's also so the workout was already planned according to Ronan. Jay says, watch the film, bro. I know people. I feel like he thinks I name drop all the time. I do not name drop. By the way, Jay, you missed it. We had a former NFL player that I do know that I was actually texting with today, by the way. James Canada, what's up again? Thanks for coming on.
Appreciate James.
Yeah, that it's funny because I was thinking the whole time when he was on, I'm like, where's Jay? He's always claiming that I like name drop and stuff like that. And then I get like a legit former NFL like player, like had like, you know, good 5-year career, was a starter at times with the Bucks, and there's no Jay. I was looking for him to make jokes. He wasn't there. Jay, you let us down. Anyway, let's get into cards here. Let's get into the guards. We got 10 guards to go over, and we're now 32 minutes into this. So let's get into it here, guys.
Let's go.
Tyler Booker, number 1 here at Alabama.
Bama.
6'5", 325 pounds, 21 years old, from New Haven, Connecticut. This past year, 13 games. PFF, by the way, hated this man. 66.5 PFF grade, which, listen, I say all the time, I gave you guys the PFF gradings. I think that they are a valuable tool to look at, but they're not always right. This is definitely one of the cases where I think they're definitely not always right. 23 and 24, he was a first team All SEC. This past year is also first team All American. He's got 38 career games overall in 3 seasons. His career snaps, he has 77 at left tackle, 1,763 at left guard, and 167 at right guard. So some versatility, but you know, the big one was obviously left guard. He's massive, great arm length, low pad level. He doesn't have elite agility, but he does have good enough to do things like, you know, some pulls and all. He plays angry. The downfalls with him: slow feet, also trouble redirecting. So what I mean by redirecting at that point is when you got a player that's going at you, let's say he's trying to swim move towards the left at that point. Well, let's say you have your running backs about to go to your left side and you know that. You're going to try to push him over to your right side to make that room. The redirect is what he has trouble with. Now, if the guy's coming dead on, he's got that ability to do that. It's a matter of that redirection he's got to figure out there at that point. And I think that's a coaching thing. I don't think that's something he's got to worry about too much as far as that. I think people look at him as a raw player to a certain degree, which is funny because you don't think about that as a 3-year starter with Alabama. But he is a guy that I think is a little bit raw still and still needs some time. You can sit there and question, why are you raw after 3 years starting at Alabama? I think it's a very valid question. But I think people like the versatility. The 77 snaps, by the way, at left tackle. He started at left tackle against USC this year. So, you know, he definitely has some versatility there. I like him a lot. I don't like him as much as a lot of people do. I think he's going to go probably late first round, early second round. I actually think he's more of a round 2, round 3 grade. Like, I think he's a day 2 pick all day long. And I do think he's going to go a little before that because people like him, partially because where he went to school, to be very frank with you guys. Alabama does tend to put out some good offensive linemen.
They do. So if you're talking about a raw guy from Alabama after 3 years, you're talking about someone that could use some coaching, but Scale got a lot of talent and got a good track record, which is probably why, like you said, he's probably going to go late in the first round, but I think he's a day 2 guy myself.
Yeah, that's where I got him. Next up, we got Tate Ratledge out of Georgia. 6'6", 320 pounds, 23 years old. Is going to be turning 24 there in about actually a couple weeks. From Chattanooga, Tennessee. This past year, 10 games, 74.4 PFF grade. I actually got family in Chattanooga. It's funny. There's going to be a lot of like weird connections for me for towns where people are from actually this episode. Been there. Nice aquarium they have, by the way. 38 career games in 5 seasons, though we had just 2 in the first 2 years. So really it's the last 3 years with 36, which is 12 games a season. That's a full-time starter. First team all SEC the past 2 years. First team all American this last year. Snaps in the last 3 years. 4 at left guard. 2,066 at right guard. So what does that tell you? He's a right guard.
Yeah.
In college, he was a right guard. That's a big difference. I'm not sure what the percentage of the snaps are at right guard compared to left, but it seems like about 99. Low pad level, strong, can pull. He's also a great combo blocker, like meaning if you have like a more complicated run scheme where you're going, okay, you're gonna pop at the lineman, and then your lead blocker is gonna come in and finish him off, and you're gonna pull off of him and go off to the linebacker and create a bigger separation for that hole. He's very good at that. He's got that abilities. He does lead into contact at times, which can be an issue. You make your balance a little off when you do that kind of thing. He's also late at getting his hands onto defenders at times as well. I think he's a day 2 pick, and I'll say this. I don't think there's that much difference in him and Booker. Booker's going to get taken a lot earlier than he is. I don't think Ratledge, or even the guy we're going to talk about in a minute, his teammate, Dylan Fairchild, spoiler, is going to be much of a difference between them. I think these 3 guys are 1, 2, 3 in any order you want, basically. So, but I do think that they're going to go Booker, Ratledge, Fairchild, and how they get drafted. Like I said, Ratledge is one of those guys that I feel like somebody's going to look at him and go, this is the guy that fits well in our scheme. He does the combo blocks. He can pull. He plays with strength. And I like him. But they might also be a little scared off by the lack of versatility, which I don't think is an issue. I think if you need to play him left guard, he probably could very well do it. You might need a little bit of a, time frame to learn to pop him to the side at that point there. There's a little bit of mirroring. It's a little more difficult than some people give credit to on that. But again, I think day 2 pick for him. And I think he's going to be a decent player. I don't think he'll ever be a great player, but I think he'll be an average guard in this league.
Yeah.
And there's something to be said for that. How many years did the Giants wish we had average guards?
10.
Yeah, exactly. Next up, as you said, his teammate, Dylan Fairchild.
Dylan.
Who, doesn't he have, the last name of somebody in, a British soap opera?
Yeah.
It's just
Sergeant Fairchild here.
Oh, here comes Dylan Fairchild. Also, like I said, Georgia, 6'5", 315 pounds, 21 years old from Cumming, Georgia. Now, I said there's be a lot of people from different spots from connections I have. That's actually where my family's lake house is in Cumming, Georgia. Literally that town, even. So, small world. Yeah. This past year, 14 games, 74.6 PFF grade, 34 career games overall in 4 years, but just 6 in the first 2. So it's really the last 2 he's had all the snaps there. Second team all ACC this past season. Snaps at those last 3 seasons here. Left guard, 1,309. Right guard, 134. Again, 90% of his snaps at one spot. He's a mauler with a wrestling background. And there's something about guys with wrestling backgrounds that play guard. They're just fun to watch, guys. They're just used to using their hands and just mauling at people. That's dirty. Just what he does. 100%. Dirty deeds done dirt cheap there. Gets to the second level very well. Great punch. He's aggressive. He reacts to counters very well. So that's something I love as well, because that tells me you can think on your feet and you got a high football IQ. He's mobile on screens. He's mobile on pulls. He does need some work against players with a package of move. What I mean by that is, when there's an edge rusher that's in the draft and they go, oh, he's got the swim move, or oh, he's got this rip move. But he needs to pick up a combination of these moves and stuff to have a full repertoire of moves to go as a pass rusher. The guys that had that full repertoire are the ones he gets trouble with. And you're going to see that a lot more in the NFL than you would see in college, because that's the usual knock on a lot of edge rushers. Oh, he had the one move. The best ones will give him trouble. So I do think he's going to need a little time in the NFL to develop some of that and get his own repertoire of counters, so to speak. There, I love saying that word, repertoire.
But I mean, let's be real too. Like, the background is wrestling being gritty the way he is. That
you would know that as a former wrestler yourself there,
as a repertoire, if you will.
Repertoire.
It's just training and technique and drilling, and that's something that could be taught. So
yeah, exactly. Now he is a little overly aggressive at times. That's that people sometimes just have that problem. Listen, you want an aggressive player, you're going to take risks. That's what happens with aggression. So I'm okay with that as a knock. It's just got to be stated. He also, again, same as his teammate there, he lacks experience at other positions because he has been strictly the left guard, for 90% of his snaps. So can he play at the positions? Well, he played some at right guard, so you got to think he can probably do it. But you don't have a lot of experience to see that necessarily. Another guy, again, like I said, it'll be a day 2 pick, I think. And I think either one of these two guards, you got Ratledge and Fairchild from Georgia, would be a good pickup for a team that needs a guard that may just, I don't say that wants an instant starter. I don't think that's what these guys are. But I think if you want a guy that can possibly start, at the very worst, be your top guard coming off a bench, that's what these guys are. And like I said, I think either one's a great move for a team that needs a guard. And either one, I would not be upset if they were a Giant. Let's be honest, we need a guard. So, all righty. Next up, Miles Frazier. Not to be confused with Frazier Crane of Seattle. LSU here played there the last couple of seasons from 22 to 24. Started his college career at FIU. Also Florida International University, for those who aren't aware. 20 and 21, 6'5", 325 pounds, 23 years old, from Camden, New Jersey. You know what that tells you right off the bat? He's tough. You don't survive in Camden if you're not tough. I'm sorry. That's like a town you go to visit and leave with an extra hole in your body. That's a rough place. This past
even
season,
the aquarium carries their pack heat.
Yeah, exactly. The dolphin sitting there with a knife just in case he shank somebody. This past season, 13 games, 70.4 PFF grade, 54 career games overall. His snaps the last 3 seasons, 594 at right guard, 1,814 at right tackle. I said it wrong. Left guard, 594 snaps. I need a second cup of coffee now. Right guard, 1,814, and right tackle, 89. So he does have some versatility. You see him at 3 out of the 5 positions there. He plays angry. He's got long arms. He's mobile. He does need to work on his base, though. You do see him occasionally have a little bit of balance issues. That's an important thing, especially as you're a guard at that point there, because if you're setting up and you have a balance issue and someone knocks you over, there's a hole right in the middle of the line now. That is a very bad thing.
Yeah.
He overextends at time as well. Now, that also lends into that issue with the balance issues. That's part of why you have a balance issue. If you're way too off balance at that point, then you go to push forward at that point. You got your arms all the way out at that point. Guess what? You're more likely to fall over. It's a very bad combo. I think that's a coachability thing you can teach, though. I really do. I like the kid. I think he's not too far off the 2 kids from Georgia and even Booker from Alabama. I think he's that guy that, if you're sitting there around 3 and need a guard, you might want to take him, because after him, there is a drop-off.
Yeah.
You got a gamble that we're going to talk about in a minute, and then you got a bunch of guys that are day 3 guys. You hope one of them pans out. He's kind of the last of that range of day 2 kind of guys. So, again, I think round 3 is where he'll end up going. I think somebody will put him as a developmental, kind of like a third guard to come off the bench. And I think he'll fit that role just fine. And then you just got to see what he develops into long term.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Round 3, day 2 pick.
Exactly. Next up, guys, we have a guy that I'm going to tell you point blank could end up being the steal of the draft. Like, everybody looks for that guy, and you see it occasionally, especially at a wide receivers for some reason. It's weird. Like, you get later on wide receivers that pan out of nowhere. But you also get that in guys like Trey Smith and stuff in the interior of the offensive line. If you're looking for a guy who you think this year could be that type of guy, let's be honest, that's a high, hope. It's this guy right here, Willie Lampkin, out of North Carolina.
Willie,
who is one of the more interesting prospects in this draft overall. So he's last 2 years over at North Carolina. Prior to that, spent 3 years over at Coastal Carolina. So he's got a lot of experience. He's 23 years old, so not that old even for the lot of experience. Here's the problem. 5'11", 290 pounds.
yeah, he's a tiny guy.
The size is the issue. Went to high school in both Belleville, Florida, and Lakeland, Florida, which I was actually just in yesterday and drove through, not too far from my house. This past season, 12 games at 85.6 PFF grade. Now, guys, that is the highest grade of any of the guards we're going to talk about today, PFF-wise. Again, PFF is not all, but it's one of those stats you can give out to give you an idea of how they think at least a player played. Here's the thing. 61 career games. Not too shabby. Like I said, start off in 2020. It was the second team all Sun Belt, first 2 years over at Coastal Carolina. Then goes to first team all Sun Belt in 22. Third team all ACC in 23. This past season, Jacobs Blocks Trophy. First team all American. First team all ACC. Had a great showing here in his second year there at Carolina. Snaps in the last 3 seasons, 141 at left guard, 936 at center, 1,473 at right guard. So he's played all 3 interior positions as well on top of that. Great leverage.
Gets around.
Good balance. Good footwork. Great form in general. Here's the issue, and the one thing stopping him. He's 5'11" and 290 pounds.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, if this kid was 6'4", 330 pounds, he'd be a first-round pick. I'm not even kidding when I say that, because that's how good his tape is. That's how good his form is. If he had the size, the prototypical size of an NFL player, he'd be a first-round pick. He played that. Look at this, what he did with that size in college, guys. And here's my whole thing I hate about this kind of stuff. Was he 5'11", 290 pounds in college, right?
Yeah.
And he succeeded, right?
That is correct.
Therefore, it can be done. Like, I'm not saying that it's impossible, for it to happen. But I'm also not going to say it's a definite for him to continue success at the next level because of the size. I think this is a boomer bust kind of player. I think one of two things. He's going to be that guy that is going to be like the Doug Flutie of guards. Or he's going to be that guy that's out of the league in a couple of years because he just can't hang. Because he's a little T-Rex arms. He's too small in general. I will say he did play at the Senior Bowl practices, specifically both center and guard. And I just, to me, this is a guy that you draft out of a team that needs linemen. You bring him in. Worst comes to worst, you have him on the bench for a couple of years. And you see what you got out of him. I would be extremely happy if we drafted this guy in day 3. Extremely happy.
Yeah, because what you said, day 3, like, it's a boomer bust, so it's a safe time to use that pick. Yeah.
Could boom, could bust.
It's like he's from Cummins, Georgia.
No, that's a totally different person we talked about. Don't you make fun of my home away from home. Mean person. Anyway, let's get to the next guy here. After we paid the bills, it's time to pay the bills. Oh, yes. It's bill paying time. Rob's favorite.
Enjoying the show? Looking for more goofball action? Consider a membership at buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs. Memberships start at just $5 and give you additional goofball access. One-time support payments also available starting at just $3. buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs.
All right, guys. And of course, you can support the show also by doing super chats there on YouTube, by doing stars on Facebook, or visiting the 2 Giant Goofball store, which I am putting the link now in the comments section. It will only pop up for some reason in YouTube and Twitch because everything else hates us, apparently. Facebook sometimes there, sometimes not. Yep, I just got the error there. So, yeah, it didn't pop up on Facebook this time. But, yeah, again, any way you guys want to support the show, appreciate you guys. You also have the free option, of course, hitting the like, hit the subscribe, hit the share button, tell a friend about it. Follow us on all the different social media platforms there. Pretty much you name a platform, we're on it. So appreciate you guys for supporting the show there. Let's get into the next card.
Oh,
We
yeah.
got a couple more to go. We got Jackson Slater. Jackson Slater. Why am I feel like I'm missing one here? It's my own notes, and I'm like, wait a minute here.
Jackson was next.
I'm missing one. I'm missing one. Oh, you know what? I have a guy on here in the wrong spot. That's what it is. I'm looking at my notes, but I'm looking at the pictures. Jackson Slater. Here he is. Oh my gosh. Been a long day. Sacramento State. Not exactly a team you hear about very often in the draft. 6'4", 316 pounds, 21 years old, be 22 next year, from Bellevue, Washington, not to be confused with Bellevue Hospital. This past year, 9 games, 76.4 BFF grade, 44 career games overall in 5 seasons. Was a Big Sky Conference selection and FCS All-American in 22, 23, and 24. The last 3 seasons, his snaps 199 at left tackle, 2,361 at left guard, and 5 at center. So he showed you a little versatility there. Strong player, great anchor. He's a very solid run blocker. He's aggressive in pass protection. Lower body moves pretty well. He does tend to get a little bit lost in space. I don't mean like danger Will Robinson. What I mean by that is like, if he's, let's say he's in pass protection and there's no one right there to protect, he doesn't look to the left or right. He just looks at it like a deer in headlights. What do I do? There's no one right here. Like, you got to find something to be doing at all times. It's almost like when you scurry around because the boss comes in for a visit real quick at your job. It's like almost like that should be the mentality to a certain degree. Protect your lane, stay in your spot to where you're not, leaving a big gaping hole for another defender to go through. I'm not saying that, but put a hand on somebody, figure out something. Don't just sit there. He's got good punch. He's a little off on placement though. He also needs more work on pass protection because basically, and this is, I think, a part to where he is, because again, he's at Sacramento State, not exactly the powerhouse school. He gets by with pass protection by basically taking guys on dead on instead of actually gaining skills and technique and things, because he just hasn't needed it. He's been that dominant against the guys he's facing. So dominance in the pro column, not being able to develop much of his skills on as far as some of the pass protection works. He hasn't needed it. That's the negative. It's funny how that works both ways. It really is. This whole iron sharpens iron. So when iron goes against wood, it's not as sharp. It's basically that kind of mentality. I think he'll be an early day 3 because there are going to be somebody and some people maybe even that see some potential for him to develop into a potential starter. I do see it, but it depends on what you think he's going to be against top tier talent. And you have to really, really stare at that video pretty hard and see what you think and see, what you see in him trait wise that you like and don't like there. But I think it's enough that somebody's going to like him enough and say like round 4. Very, very early part of round 5 is going to see him and go, you know what? Let's take this kid and see if we can develop him. And they may win out by doing so. I could see him developing into, I think, a backup at best, a spot starter. I think that's probably what will end up being at this league.
Probably like a rotation piece.
Like, I don't want to make him seem like he's going to develop into some great starter. I think, yeah, rotational piece, solid backup. I think that's where his role is going to be. So, yeah. All righty. Next up, Luke Condra out of Cincinnati. Literally from Cincinnati, by the way. That's the weird part. Played in Cincinnati, from Cincinnati. You know what that means? He likes spaghetti with chili on it. That's exactly what that means.
Probably true.
This is a Cincinnati thing. Played Cincinnati the last 2 years. Before that, played 21 to 24. 21 to 22. Wow. In Louisville, like I said, I need that second cup of coffee today. I'm really, Rob, just take it on. I'm going home. I'm going home.
Wait a minute. I need
6'4",
coffee.
323 pounds, 23 years old. This past season, 12 games and a 76.7 PFF grade, 38 career games.
Picked up.
What?
The Bengals picked him up.
Actually, it's funny. I actually, when I was looking up, film and scouting stuff on him, there was actually a Cincinnati Bengal podcast that was like drooling over this guy because he was the local guy. First team All Big 12 this past season. His snaps the last 3 seasons: 84 at left guard, 6 at center, and 1,922 over at right guard. He's strong. He seeks out blocks in the run game. Like, he's not the guy that sits still, like we talked about a minute ago. Feet are always on the move. Does combo blocks very well. He does play a little stiff though. His hips are kind of almost like locked in when he's making movements there. He's slow burst off the snap, and he has trouble recovering. So like, he goes in with a plan. If that plan does not start succeeding, he does not seem to have much of a backup plan. People do not realize how much of a battle blocking is, or trying to penetrate if you're on the defensive line. It is a mind and physical body kind of battle there. And some people go with a plan and don't have that backup plan. This is one of those people. So can Kandra go ahead and figure out a backup plan? Can he figure out a way to get around this kind of issue? And that's a thought process thing, not a physical thing. That's something that you may be able to coach out. You may not. Some people, it's almost like a quarterback. Some people have that ability to see what's about to come and figure out a counter move to it. Some don't. So far, he don't.
Yeah, and it's hard because like, it could be done with coaching, but it could be a mental thing.
Yeah, 100%. So, like I said, it's playing things that people are. It's almost like engineering. Some people just have that mind for it. Same as this. Like, some people just have that mind for knowing what to do in these scenarios. It just comes second nature to them. So I don't want to make it seem like we're saying something stupid because they can't figure out how to do. No, that's not the scenario. It's just the way your mind works.
Yeah, you got some people that just go in there and they're like, all right, well, I'm going to sweep, cut, push back and repeat. But if the person's going to the right when you're playing everything from going to the left, well, now everything's messed up. Everything you go to the left.
Yeah, like I said, it is a skill, 100%. I think day 3 for him as well. I think somebody will try to develop him into a spot starter, top backup kind of role at that point, and then kind of see where he goes from there. All right, next up, Connor Colby, Iowa, the Corn State there. 6'6", 310 pounds, 22 years old. This past season, 13 games, 77.1 PFF rating, 52 career games. In 23, he was 13 All Big 10. 24, he was first team All Big 10. Snaps the last 3 seasons, 358 at left guard, 1,484 at right guard, and 339 at a right tackle. So he actually has shown some good versatility. A lot of these guards have really not shown that. I feel like he has. Agile, good length, okay strength. What I mean by okay strength is he's 310 pounds. He's a guard is, and he doesn't suffer as much as you would think as far as strength because of that. But he's also a tough player. His pad level is definitely too high. And his strike, while it's good, it's off at times. In other words, when he goes to give you that pop at that point there, it's a little bit off on the timing at that point. And if you're a little late on that, it makes it much easier to counter and block, that's for sure. The nice thing is when you're talking about, pad level, strike timing, things about those natures, those are all things that you can coach. Now, will he be coachable? That's a whole separate thing. But those are all coachable things. So that's why he's a guy that I do think, again, someone will take the shot on a day 3 kind of pick. It's going to be like, it's a low risk kind of move at that point there. But I think Iowa as a whole typically is a good school for offensive linemen. I mean, let's be honest, the Big Ten as a whole usually is pretty good. And that's why you notice a lot of the guys on here, SEC, Big Ten kind of guys, that's where the offensive linemen typically come from. And this is another year where that's where it's going to be again. So, all righty. We got 2 more guys here. Tyler Cooper from Minnesota, don't you know? There he is. There he is there with his M on his helmet there from Minnesota.
The Swedish meatballs.
A bunch of hosers.
Yeah.
6'6", 310 pounds. This past season, 10 games, 72.9 PFF grade. 28 career games overall, 21 of those in the last 2 seasons. So he's been 6 seasons in college overall. So the first 4 seasons were basically just for show.
Basically what it
sounds like. All 10 All Big Ten honorable mention this past season. Career snaps. The last 3 season snaps, I should say. 3 snaps at left tackle, 1,041 at left guard, 265 at right guard, and 5 at right tackle. So he's basically played everywhere but center the last 3 years. He's got great length. He processes well. His feet keep on moving. He has good technique. He does tend to struggle with strong defensive tackles. Definitely a strength issue there. Not a lot of experience. Again, 21 games in the past 2 seasons, but prior to that, was kind of sitting around on the bench for a while. Very low athletic scores. And he's going to be a guy, again, another day 3 pick. This is the guy. We say it all the time. There's day 3 picks. There's 2 categories of day 3 picks. There's guys who are athletic and need coaching. There's guys who are well coached but need athleticism. You can teach athleticism, right? No.
Yeah.
You can teach coachable things. You can teach form. You can teach, thought processes and technique, and you can teach those things. You can't teach athleticism. Now, this is where the problem I run into with a guy like this. Good form, not athletic. He's a day 3 guy.
Yeah.
What does that tell you? He's probably reached his ceiling. Do you want to bring him in and see if you can maybe have him as a backup on your team? Okay, fine. But you can't have very high hopes for a guy like that. I'm sorry. Like, not trying to be rude about it. I always feel bad when I say these things because I hope well for everybody. But it's like, that's what I see, is a guy that needs to add a little strength, isn't very athletic, but has great form and has obviously been well coached. So
yeah,
that's where I got him at. Another day 3 pick that, again, I don't have much high hopes for.
it's one of those guys you bring in for practice squad. Hopefully,
yeah, he said if he develops into a backup guy, that's all. So, last guy we got, Quay Webb out of Jacksonville State. Another small school you don't hear very often. There's a lot of small schools in this offensive line here. Started off his career actually from 19 to 21 over at Georgia. Couldn't hack it and went to Jacksonville State. Oops, did I say that? Oops, my God.
Oops.
Listen, it is what it is. I mean, let's be honest. You don't move from Georgia to Jacksonville State because things are going well. You know what? I'm having a lot of success at Georgia. I think I should conquer Jacksonville State next.
He's hoping maybe to go to a Golden Corral out there.
Yeah, that's so 6'3", 290 pounds, 25 years old, from Oxford, Alabama. Last past season, 14 games, 82 PFF grade. Snaps in the last 3 seasons, 1 at left tackle, 2,312 at left guard. Needless to say, he's played a lot of left guard. 23, second team All-Conference USA. 24, also second team All-Conference USA. He's strong. He's got a great anchor. He's got good punch. But here's the thing. He's rigid. And he needs to get better at body control. His pad level rises. He's slow to diagnose plays. Honestly, guys, I see a lot of the potential scenario where you just have a player who is better than the talent that's playing at Jacksonville State, but not good enough to be able to be in the NFL. Like, this is a guy that honestly I think is a late day 3 pick. I think a team picks him up, seeing if they can do something with a small town, kid. And they go, you know what? Nah, there's not really much there. You want to sit the practice squad for a year and see if we're wrong?
That's sadly probably the truth.
Like, again, strong player, out-bustled everybody at Jacksonville State. There's a reason he was brought into Georgia originally. There's also a reason why he was brought out of Georgia.
Correct.
If you can't hack it at Georgia, you can't hack it in the NFL. I'm sorry. And listen, there's circumstances where I'm wrong. But I've said all forever that in the end, if you're going to be at a small school, I want to see absolute dominance. Because you're about to see a steep incline in talent you're about to face.
Yeah.
So that's not what I see here. So again, late 3rd round pick, like 6th, 7th pick, somebody's going to bring him in for camp, see what he can do, and not have high expectations. That's where it's at. So, all righty. We're going to skip first off. Jay took complaining about North Carolina offensive lineman there. I get it. Azudu McKeithen. I knew where you're going with this. But I'm telling you, this is an actual like legit prospect. And I was ticked off when they got Azudu and McKeithen. Jason's deep analysis by Roberto. No name says laugh out loud. I forget which wide receiver said it, but it's hard to see a shorter quarterback, and then all of a sudden the ball's in your air in the air, and you're like, oh shit, I gotta go get it. Probably was definitely wasn't Steve Smith. Jay says that's an interesting way of thinking about that. Let's see. Jay says you can't teach athleticism. Drew speaking from experience. Damn straight. I am not athletic. I have never once said that, by the way. Let's see. Jay says I would love a guard in the second round. I would as well if it wasn't for such need at defensive tackle. And it's not a good guard draft, guys. Like we mentioned a couple of guys that are day 2 guys. If I can get one of those in the day 3, because we got 2 day 3 selections, keep in mind, I'm okay with that. I don't want to force it. Yeah. I feel like we're forcing it really in the second round, probably. Let's see here. Jay last with the Golden Corral. We make a Golden Corral comment in every episode. Rogue employee. Let's see. Jay says, I'm not owning the Meet Your D. I'm the number 1 customer. Oh, God. Anyway. All right, guys. That's going to call it a day for us. We'll be back again for you guys here on Wednesday. We're going to be talking about edge rushers, pass rushers here, guys. It's always a fun one to do every single year. And also not a bad group, this one here, so coming up here. So be on the lookout for that. Then we're going to wrap up the week there with linebackers. And then we also have left to do with secondary. And we're all ready for the draft, guys. So, yeah, appreciate you guys for coming on. As always, we're live every Monday, Wednesday, Thursday on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter/X, Twitch, and, of course, Rob's favorite, LinkedIn profile, of course, my LinkedIn profile. And of course, as always, we're available the next day on all the audio podcast platforms as well. That is Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Amazon, all the big ones there. So if you haven't already, hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit the share button there, guys. Appreciate again you guys for coming on and listening to us. We know you got plenty of other things you could be doing. We're still questioning why you're here, but we appreciate you being here nonetheless. So thank you very much, guys, for watching, listening, and of course, as always, Giants fans, go G-Man! Go G-Man!
Come on!
Thanks for listening to 2 Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. We appreciate your support.
Thanks so much.
Please, I'm begging you. Please subscribe.